Hey guys, welcome back. Now, let's get right into it. Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen. Today is a very important video. And as you can tell, I play a very important song. Love that song. One of my favorites by Sam Cooke. And today, I'll talk about my testimony. Now, I did a video on this day 2 of the channel. More of a testimonial than a testimony. As I talk about certain parts of my life, but this will just be kind of a, well, still an overview, but kind of where I come from, why I'm a believer, and go from there, my relationship with God. So let's just start with a very simple one, and then I'll read to you. I've kind of, I don't know, labeled it as the schematic of my testimony in my journal, as I journal quite a bit, and I don't know, I just wrote it down. I'll explain it as I go, and then that'll be that. But we're in the book of Hebrews, chapter 6, verse 10. His name, in that you have ministered to the saints and do minister. Just a very simple verse there about us as saints, our ministry, his name. Just lands on all the servitude, all the love, all of that, just in one little tiny section. And it's in this book, the God's Promises book. And why is it in this book? Well, your responsibility. That's the truth from this passage, is your responsibility. In his name that you have ministered to the saints and do minister as a saint. So it's calling a call to action, really. And I think that is a really good preface for today's kind of topic, which is a call to action. And in this, what I want, all right? So we're on day 90 of journaling. I have the days written down. It's not every day that I journal, because they're quite long sometimes. But it's just what I write down. I'll read to you and explain it as I go. So, just with the verses, I'll have it up here, and let's get right into it. So, here's a schematic of my testimony. Love. A concept central to everything and nothing at the same time. Now, I reason this paradox because love is in everything, yet always carrying a different meaning. Nevertheless, love is what saved me. God is love. And I'm a Christian because I first believed in love, and soon I found myself believing in God. Now, with autism, understanding this, oh my gosh, this sentence is not complete. Anyways, with autism, understanding this is just ever harder to do so. Now, what helped me was music, which God uses to this day as the main vehicle of my faith. To say I love music is to say I love love, both of which are true. These are such that can speak to anyone, no matter their circumstance. Now, I hesitated on one of the sentences here because a little bit of, what did I write there? It literally just says, understanding this, whatever harder. Maybe I meant with autism, understanding this was ever harder. Let's say it was ever harder. I'm sorry about that, guys. Anyways, let's start top to bottom. So, we talked about love a lot, very central to everything. That is my ethos. In that love is at the center of everything, just as God is at the center of everything, from which all things are created. Same with love. I mean, we procreate with the people we love, you know, it's like it's revolving, the cycle. It's a beautiful cycle of pain, sorrow, yet we have that, so we have joy and happiness. And only because of God, right? God is love, right? And the cyclical spectrum of, again, no two binaries. Where do we find love? We find it in everything. And I will always use this as my testimony because it is the single most proof we have of God, is that God is love. And in it, something so unfathomable. It's in everything, right? Something I say is, right? I reason this paradox, something that doesn't quite make sense, right? Because, you know, we say love, but what does love mean? Love takes so many forms, right? That at its most basic form, it's an action, not a feeling, right? The feeling you get is different. Love, again, that's more subjective. What do you get from love? All subjective. But what is love? You know, we only think what we get from it, right? It's the action of not receiving, but giving love, right? It's the action that draws us to compassion, that draws us to joy, that draws us to peace, that draws us to connection, right? And love, whether it's self-love, which is very important, or love to others, interpersonal versus personal, right? Whether that's love of nature, regardless of what you love, it points to God in some way. And, you know, people can love demented things, right? People can love evil things, you know? And I like to say I like to say love has no capacity that bounds it, right? God has an infinite capacity to give us love, His mercy, His kindness. And therefore, we have an infinite capacity to love. Therefore, the things that are demented is actually hate, right? The opposite of love. If we love things that are hateful, right? The demented things in the world, the darkness, then that is in and of itself hate, right? If we love hate, what are we doing? We're just hating. So that's kind of at the top of this. We've talked about that tons of times. In my life, though, all right, I say it's what saved me, so God saved me. God is love, right? But I'm Christian because I first believed in love. You know, I was a Christian only up until, I was a Christian, I first considered myself a Christian at maybe 13 years old, kind of when I started music. And those two have followed a very similar journey, which I find very interesting, but we'll talk about that in a second. But before that, right, I first believed in love, because love is something that I never quite, could experience or see because of autism. Because of that, I was first diagnosed with maybe it is stage something, level 2 autism, I think is what it's called. It's the second worst form of it. And as a child, I went through a lot of turmoil because of that. And nowadays, you probably wouldn't guess that I have this condition, right? This autism. It's something that used to afflict me, but now I consider just something that is a part of me. But I just, as with anything else, is a part of me. You have to recognize things, to discern things, to become one with yourself is to become one furthermore with God. And in doing so, I'm like, this autism stuff up until I was about 12 years old was bad. I didn't know how to communicate, whether that was communication itself, my needs, my wants, or the emotions that I felt. They all got bottled into me. And where does that go when we bottle emotions up that eventually gets expressed as an output they don't really want? The desire is not the same as the motive, and it just gets twisted. That's what happens when you bottle things up. It gets twisted in the yarn of our soul is a very intricate yarn that God is unwinding every day. Because again, we wind it ourselves, whether it's overthinking, seeking things that we should not seek, trying in our own strength. We just tangle ourselves up, and God just, all right, you know what? It's fine. I'll just untangle you. But again, we get caught up in that, and we have to realize that. I especially had to realize that God alone has to do this. And I don't know what happened. COVID time happened, I guess, and for me it was a good time. It really allowed me to explore, especially music, gave a lot of free time, and with that, expression. Music was that's the next part, right? Music is really what helped me express myself, and therefore taught myself this. Taught myself a lot of things in life, most of which the emotional side of things that I've had to learn. Not all of which, because autism is so complicated, right? Level 2 autism, stage 2, I don't know what it's called, but that's what the psychiatrists were telling me. And who cares really what stage, what level? Who cares, right? Because we are human in the image of God, and I use this only in my testimony to show you, to exemplify how far you can come from a very non-communicative child, angry, spiteful to the world, very socially isolated because of autism, to one who is now, say the opposite of that, more content, more at peace, more happy. And I found my circle, and recently I found myself. All of which autism kind of put up walls for, right? Putting up walls, things that you just have to find the door to get through those walls, right? Walls can come in many forms, whether that's grief, anger, sadness, depression. Prolonged things are what walls are. And I've had to deal with the biggest wall of my life is identity, right? Because autism, I didn't want to identify with that, and I still don't, but it's something you just have to come to terms with. And coming to terms with myself is really what I mean by that. And in that, I come to terms with God, right? I always wanted love. It's something I yearned for. I didn't know how to express it, didn't know how to feel it. And that's why love, I first believed in it, that I could have it one day. And to this day, I now have it. And my previous self, my inner child, right? That's a thing a lot of therapists talk about, your inner child, but just thinking about my past, before I was 12, before I started music, to now, how far I've been transformed through the faith, through the world, and through myself. And what truly helped me was music. God used it truly as the main vehicle of my faith, right? I always play a song in the beginning, whether it's my own or another, I don't know. It's always my own interpretation of the song, because that's the beautiful thing about music. It is one's own interpretation that can speak to anyone else, and they can have their own interpretation. It's a subjective form of tangibility, which is art. And using music as my main form of art, so powerful, right? The piano especially, the whole spectrum, the whole 81 notes that only the piano can use. And it's beautiful. I love music. It's just to say that is I love love. Because music is something that's so intangible yet tangible at the same time, that can speak to anyone, the soul, the heart. Something that I can speak, that not my mouth, not my mind, not my soul really comes to term with, except music itself, right? I mean, that's why all these composers have come to God, right? Of the past, you know, Mozart, Haydn, Mahler, all these people writing to Christ, Bach especially. And we see this because it's transformative music, right? It's something that is its own language. Of course it is, right? It's something that in part my soul can speak, something that in part my mouth can speak, but on their own, they cannot. But all together they can and do. And I do, you know, sometimes sing and sometimes play the piano, sometimes at the same time. And through this, God gave us a beautiful instrument, which is our voice. And that alone is proof enough that this love, the same voice we speak love with, the same voice can sing. So let us sing love to each other. And that is truly what has transformed my life and why I believe in God. I don't have faith in Him, I believe in Him. And the only thing I do have faith in is heaven, and I'll get there. Because I know music, and I know what love has done, and the two can do together. And if you play the piano lovingly, I think that is the most beautiful form of art attainable. And you know me, I love my poetry, I love my theology, psychology, philosophy, and you know, all those kind of playing together, but just love and music. You know, a lot of music is about love, and there's a good reason for that. It's a great way to express it, right? The two coincide. So, no matter the circumstance, no matter the person, if I can speak to someone, just one person with music, then I've spoken with my soul, my heart, my mind, my mouth, in a way that comes together fully as one, that we can define as love. Music, the vehicle to get there, right? One vehicle, at least. You know, there's lots of vehicles that get there, but music is just such, it's like a reflection of love, truly. One that I think, because love has so many different meanings, one that can convey all those meanings, yet none of them at the same time. You know, it's dependent on the person, of course, but to each their own, and to each instrument their own. And mine's the piano, and one that I love, and one that I'm pursuing in college, right? And, you know, especially now with the cancer stuff, the sickness stuff, the stuff that looms on the horizon, one that looks dark initially, but one that I'm just loving to live in, because God is using me as a vehicle. Now I want you to think, how is God using you as a vehicle in faith, in servitude, in love, right? God is love. How is He using that for you? Think about that, and you know, it's not a magical testimony where one event happened that led to another, but it was a culmination of small things adding up to show and build the big picture of two main things, which is love and music coming together into one. That is my life. So that's why I believe, and that's why I know of God, and hopefully you do too. But if you don't, hopefully we can come to terms in future videos. But anyways, hope you guys enjoyed, but that's all. Take care.